We return to the adventures of the not Swiss family Robinson and their adventures deep in the depths of space. And we run into a space cowboy, a literal space cowboy. Now, this series takes place in the distant future of 1997. You remember that year, right? All those UFOs were actually just Jupiter-2 tests. Anywho, this guy took off in a more classic-looking rocket back in '82. You remember that year? Reagan did know his stuff when it came to rockets. Anywho, he's something of an explorer, but not by choice. He got lost. Mostly because he's kind of a yokel, but very good-natured, although he gets into a scuffle with Dawn because he refuses to take the kids back to Earth as payment for getting some guidance systems out of the robot to replace some that he lost. Willingly, of course. He obtained them willingly, not stole. Also, there's a bit of a scuffle with some alien fungus on his ship because Will didn't help him decontaminate the whole thing by accident. And Penny almost gets eaten. Luckily, it all works out, except for the fact that the kids don't want to leave, their parents at least. And the cowboy, he just doesn't want to stop being an explorer. He realizes that his days would pretty much be done if he went back to Earth. So he continues on his way, and he promises the Robinsons that if he's within communications range of Earth, he'll let them know that the Robinsons are here. And, of course, Dr. Smith laments the fact that he did not ask for passage back to Earth. Although it's probably a good idea he didn't, because he's not going to Earth. The cowboy, that is. Oh, by the way, Smith's played by Jonathan Harris. I cannot believe I forgot his name. I'm terrible with names. Anyway, our next adventure involves a not-so-imaginary friend of Penny's called Mr. Nobody. She finds a cave of actual diamonds, which are worthless out in space, but not on Earth. So Smith decides to take advantage of the fact that the cave is full of diamonds and try to profit when he gets back to Earth. Maybe buy his freedom in case someone found out what he did to the Jupiter-2. Unfortunately, the entity which is in the cave is very, very powerful. It has a quote-unquote antimatter core, and later we find out that not only is it sapient, it's some sort of fledgling galaxy, an actual galaxy, or some other stellar body that is somehow sapient and learns various human emotions and stuff from Penny. And for once, she, a usual background character, ends up saving the day with the power of love. But I digress. It had a pretty decent action sequence, so I'm willing to forgive the whole sappy nature of it. Next adventure, the group gets attacked by entities from the fifth dimension. Their spaceship has Gallifreyan technology, in that it's bigger on the inside, and the creatures seem to not have bodies, although really they're just wearing black turtlenecks over a black background. But they are creepy enough. Audiences in '65 must have been having heart attacks. these creatures have no regard for human life. They want to use Dr. Smith's brain as part of their computer, and then they decide, through Dr. Smith's negotiation skills, to take Will's brain instead. Of course, Will's emotional outbursts at the idea of leaving his parents behind causes their computers to short out because, of course, they're aliens and they don't understand emotions. And despite the fact that they're going to be destroyed, one of the aliens decides to show a bit of mercy and let Will go. Overall, it's a decent episode. Moving on. Next we come to the Oasis. A combination of drought due to the erratic nature of the planet and Dr. Smith's disregard for the fact that they have a finite amount of water causes them to go in search of new water. They find a pool, but it's stagnant. Yet there is a huge supply of weird alien fruit in the pool, and while technically it is edible, there are side effects. Dr. Smith and Debbie, the chimp wearing a funny headdress to make her look like an alien, eat some of the fruit, and both grow abnormally large and end up getting sneezing fits. At first, the family thinks that the chimp, Debbie, and Dr. Smith are going to die, but luckily they don't. Instead, the aforementioned side effects. Luckily, we don't have to worry about the camera crew trying to do the forced perspective deal for Dr. Smith and someone wearing a costume to pretend to be an oversized Debbie for more than this episode because, well, it's just not in the budget. So, after rain finally comes, once Smith and Debbie get rained on, they shrink back to normal size. And thank goodness for that, because as sort of overzealous as John Harris is in his acting as Smith sometimes, in his giant form, he overdid it just a little bit more. Basically, the one overactor in the whole cast was John Harris, but he's charming, so I'm giving it a pass. When finally we come to an encounter with another family, only this time they're aliens. They look like they're from ancient Greece almost, and they look, for lack of a better term, Aryan. Or at least what is believed to be ancient Aryans. Basically, they look off. There's an uncanny valley thing going on. Not helped by the fact that they seem to be mute, possibly telepathic, although we don't hear their thoughts. The cast playing the aliens have to convey various emotions and ideas through facial expressions and hand gestures. And I guess they were told to be somewhat stoic, so they really managed to portray a real family unit, but who's alien to our main cast. Honestly, it's a pretty compelling episode. When next we see our Swiss family Robinson, well, not Swiss, family Robinson, things get weird. See you in part 3.